Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Program that transparently needed a little bit of good news over the last couple days, and they have gotten it. And that is the Auburn Tigers. Okay, so Auburn, we're not going to do a play-by-play, minute-by-minute of what's happened the last few weeks, but we know it's been bad. You're in a situation where you're 2-3 entering the rivalry game this weekend. And as we just discussed in the preview segment, you look at these Auburn losses, you're not that far off. If you only throw 2 picks against Cal, you win that game instead you throw 4, ball game, Cal comes in and win. Oh, by the way, Arkansas, 5 turnovers. Oh, by the way, Oklahoma, just throw the ball out of bounds. Peyton Thorne. I'm not saying it's only Peyton Thorne's fault, but you're 2-3. We know what Hugh Freeze has said at press conferences, and you just need any level of positivity right now. Well, Auburn fans, that positivity has come. We've been a lot of glasses half empty on this show and pretty much every college football show you watch. But we have a glasses half full moment for Auburn fans because on Wednesday night, something that a lot of people have been expecting for a long time became official as Deuce Night, depending on what recruiting service you use, very high 4-star or low 5-star 24/7 composite has him as a 5-star prospect, was committed to Notre Dame, flips to Auburn. And for a program that needed any sort of good vibes, positive vibes, boy, oh boy, did Auburn get them with this news. So let's go ahead and dive in. Deuce Night, listen, I'm not a scouting expert by any stretch, but I watched the film. It pops. Great athlete, dual threat guy, can make plays with his arm, can make plays with his legs, from the state of Mississippi. And transparently, first of all, this news, while important, I don't know that it's I don't think it's actually shocking at all. As a matter of fact, it was actually speculated that this was going to happen. This kid is from the state of Mississippi, had been committed to Notre Dame since September of 23. So basically the start of his junior year of high school. But over the last year, stuff has very clearly changed. Okay. One, took some visits to Auburn to start the season. As a matter of fact, I could be mistaken. I want to welcome a new sponsor to the Aaron Torres pod, Blue Chew. Fellas, remember back in the day when you were always ready to go? Well, things change. You got a lot on your mind. Your football team isn't very good. Well, here's the good news. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. To get started, it's so easy. Just go to bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part, it's all done online. No awkward trip to the doctors, no waiting at the pharmacy, no stink eyes, no raised eyebrows, nothing. Thing is, though, I know a lot of you are probably wondering, Torres, does it actually work? Do you think I need to try it? Well, here's the deal. Try it for a month for free, and I think there will be no turning back, all right? You'll love it. Your partner is going to love it. Your football team may stink, but you'll be rocking like the 85 Bears between the sheets. So go ahead, try it out, and here is the great news. We have a special offer for listeners of the Aaron Torres pod. You can try Blue Chew for free when you use the code Torres at checkout. All you got to do is pay $5 in shipping. Go to bluechew.com, use promo code Torres at checkout. You get Blue Chew for free for a free month, and you only have to pay $5 shipping. Again, visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. Thank you to Blue Chew for sponsoring the Aaron Torres podcast. And I think 3 of the first 5 weekends of the year he was at Auburn. And basically, I think there's 2 other things at play here. I think he wants to be close at home. Well, really 3. Wants to be closer to home. He wants to play in the SEC. Who doesn't? It's the best conference in college football. But what I'll also say, because, anytime a school like Auburn or Texas A&M or one of these schools that hasn't been winning has success in recruiting, Oh, it's all NIL. They're just buying it. It's like, here's what my understanding of what's going on at Auburn, okay, is that basically he sees a place where they are Auburn fans, I'm sorry, it hasn't been good. I was going to call it a disaster. It probably has been. I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to be diplomatic. I said glasses half full, positive vibes only, but it hasn't been good at Auburn. And I think this kid sees an opportunity to come in and play right away. Now, listen, is he going to be handed the keys day one, minute one, hour one? It's hard to say. You have another really high profile quarterback in this year's freshman class. Hank Brown, unless I'm mistaken, has eligibility. I know Peyton Thorne is out. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think it's probably likely that Auburn pursues a quarterback in the transfer portal. But this is an opportunity to go to the SEC, step in right away, contribute right away. And I think even just looking across the country, you just look at college football this year, you don't bring in 5 stars to not get them playing time, if not outright name them the starter if they're the best guy. You think Matt Rule has any regrets about handing the keys to Dylan Raiola? Now listen, Dylan Raiola's ready. He's playing really well, whatever. But Matt Rule was like, forget this. We got a red shirt. No. You're the best guy. You're going to play. The Florida situation, I've said it a million times. I don't necessarily love how Billy Napier is handling things. By the way, was supposed to talk Billy Napier and Florida in that opening segment. Forgive me, whatever. But the bottom line is that, listen, I don't love how Billy Napier is handling things necessarily with Lagway and Mertz. But what is obvious is he promised the kid during the recruiting process, we're not going to put it all on your plate, but we're not going to bury you on the depth chart and not give you an opportunity either. And so we'll see what happens. But to me, I expect Deuce Knight to be on the field again. We'll see if he's named the official starter, if he comes in, if he earns the job, whatever. But when you talk about sometimes it's not just about this 5-star committed here, move on to the next thing. Sometimes it is much deeper and much more important, and it is worth discussing in this case because, listen, I know I've said it a few times already in this segment, but you just talk about a program that needed some level of positivity. There is zero doubt that Auburn was absolutely that program, okay? And I think to me, when I look at this situation, I think this was an important moment for not only Hugh Freeze, yes, but I think it was an important moment for Auburn's fans. And I think it was actually a very important moment for Auburn's locker room, okay? First of all, from the fan perspective, it goes without saying, is that you look at what's going on. It hasn't been pretty. And listen, I'll give Auburn fans credit. I've said it a million times. For people who do not know, the producer of this show, producer Matt, is an Auburn alum, goes to all the games, season ticket holder, whatever. I think most Auburn fans came into this season realistically it's going to take some time. We're not there yet, but the 24 class is really good. The 25 class is doing really well. We are going to get there eventually. But it's one thing to say that in July and August. It's another thing to have happened what has happened at Auburn. And then it's worth noting, you kind of got through the easy part of the schedule. 5 straight home games to start the year. And so I only bring it up to just very simply say is that the way that I see this is that you needed some positivity for the fan base, because I think even the fans, and I see them on social media, even the fans that understand it's a process, even the fans that understand that you're not going to go 11-1 in year 2, that's just not realistic with what Brian Harsin left you. By the way, that was another thing that Hugh Freeze said that was so offensive this week. Oh my God, Hugh Freeze basically said, you know where we started from. Well, I'm sorry. It's Drake. You started from the bottom because Brian Harsin basically stopped recruiting while he was there, but we don't need to get into Brian Harsin, whatever. Point I'm trying to bring up is that it's easy in the offseason to sit there and say, we're going to go, it's going to be another 7-5. Maybe we get to 8-4. All things break right now. And then it's another thing to be where you are at 2-3 overall. So it was important for the fans to believe in something for the future. But also, what I think it was actually more important for? I think it was important for the young guys in that locker room, okay? Now listen, no superstar player at any position, any level is going to make any decision based off of a high school quarterback. But I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about this on Wednesday afternoon before this happened, is that you keep losing. All of a sudden, you start to wonder, some of the young guys in that locker room, do they believe in the vision that they committed to, and do they want to stick it out through the long term? I'm just going to use a hypothetical. I'm not saying this was going to happen. I'm not saying it was speculated. I don't know if it was. But there is a five-star superstar wide receiver in the true freshman class named Cam Coleman. And I don't even want to put the negative vibes out there. But you think about that kid, and I know he's been dealing with some injuries. But I mean, think about him. He's a 5-star. Watching Jeremiah Smith ball out at Ohio State. Watching Ryan Williams ball out at Alabama. And now, respectfully, he's looking at his quarterback situation. He's looking at his situation in Auburn. He's like, do I want to do this for another year, for another 2 years? Can I get to where I want to go, which is the NFL, if I stay here? And so to me, this was important because it gives the locker room hope as well. Again, I'm not saying everybody's sticking around for a 5-star high school player, but now you look at the 24 recruiting class, those young guys, they can see a brighter future. You look at, by the way, that 2025 recruiting class, because if you don't think that everybody in the SEC and everybody in America, Auburn coming into this week had the number 4 class in America, if you don't think after all these losses, those kids are getting hit up saying, you sure you want to do that? You're sure that's the right spot for you? You sure that's the place that you want to go? Well, now there is just something to rally around. Is those guys can say, hey, I'm not just going alone, because there's a lot of talent in that class. We've talked about it. I think the stat is in the state of Alabama, 8 of the top 10 players, according to 24/7 Sports, are committed to Auburn. But the more you lose with no positivity, no positive vibes, the more likely it is that some of those kids start to reconsider. Now they got their guy that they're coming in with, and Hugh Freeze can sell that entire class. Hey, wait a second now. You guys are going to be the ones. You guys are going to do it together. Oh, by the way, I brought in some dudes last year that are going to help you as well. And so to me, this is just so huge. And oh, by the way, I'm not a recruiting expert, but you listen to the people who cover this on a day-to-day basis, this could have another trickle-down effect for Auburn. They already have the number 3 class in the country. The only schools ranked ahead of them are Ohio State and Alabama, which is crazy in its own right. But number 1 goal, keep this class together. Obviously, the real number 1 goal, make sure the guys in the locker room that you want there in 25 and beyond stay, but keep this class together. You have Deuce Knight. You have the, you have the guy that you can rally around. But then here's the other thing. He's going to start recruiting for you too. And so you look at some of the guys that he may go after, that he may try to convince to come with him. It could be another cascade of positivity and positive recruiting. Couple names that are kind of floating around. Caleb Cunningham, excuse me. I was going to say Cam Cunningham. Caleb Cunningham is a 5-star receiver, committed to Alabama, also from the state of Mississippi. And by the way, he was, I think, at one point committed to Mississippi State. I could be mistaken on that. You don't think Deuce Knight, I don't want to say he's getting on the phone, because I don't think high school kids talk on the phone anymore. You don't think he's texting? You don't think there's some DM sliding right now to get that kid to come with him? By the way, Naheem Alford, I think he's like the number 1 cornerback in America. I think actually number 2. Let me pull it up. But he's committed to Ohio State right now. Number 1 player in the state of Alabama, committed to Ohio State. Naheem Alford. Okay, I'm sorry. I think I said Alford. Naheem Alford. Okay, Offord. He is committed to Ohio State right now. Been committed since the summer. All of a sudden, number 1 player in the state of Alabama. You don't have to leave. We're going to do this here. We're going to do this together. So there's good news for Auburn at a time where they desperately, desperately needed it. And oh, by the way, there could be even more good news coming, because this kid is going to recruit for Auburn. And for Auburn, you just get some positivity. I know Georgia's going to be tough this week, but you got Vandy coming up. You got some winnable games, but this was the vibe that you needed. Congrats to Auburn and Hugh Freeze. Now, you got to get to National Signing Day, but I don't think this kid would flip this late, 6 weeks before he's going to sign at Auburn, and then basically 2 months before he's going to enroll. I don't think he'd flip if he was planning on flipping again. So this is big. Now, who else can you get to come with him? I know there's still, 7 games left on the Auburn schedule. Keep that 24 class together. Keep the 25 class together. And this guy is your headliner. So that's the good news out of Auburn.